I made a video about a year ago talking about the 3 major issues that Supercell needed to address in Brawl Stars for 2020. The first issue was a lack of strategic depth, which Supercell addressed by adding gadgets and second gadgets into the game. The second major issue was a lack of sense of progression and monetization that Supercell later addressed by bringing the Brawl Pass into the game. And the third issue actually was not addressed last year, but I think that they're going to be addressing it this year. Hello fellow Brawlers, I'm KairosTime, and it is time for me to talk about my 2021 Brawl Stars update predictions and wish list. As many of you are well aware, I am known for my ability to accurately predict new content for Brawl Stars. In May of 2019, I conceptualized a third ability for every brawler that could be activated with the tap of a button. I'm not even joking, it happened. I did a video talking about it, and now we have gadgets. Last year, I defined a possible Brawl Pass system that is almost exactly what we ended up getting, and I've predicted more brawlers than I even try to keep count anymore, right? There's a whole video that the real Wasim made where I predicted Brawl Stars updates for 10 minutes straight. Now, some people think that Supercell just tells me what's going on several months in advance. Some people think I'm an actual time traveler. And some people think that I just obsess over Brawl Stars more than probably anybody, and I have a really good understanding of what the game is currently lacking and what Supercell's likely going to be fixing. Let's start off with new brawler trios and themes that I am fairly certain that we're going to get this year, and then I'm going to talk about the 3 issues that Brawl Stars need to address in 2021. As for new brawlers, I think it is very obvious that we're going to be getting some sort of new hero brawler that's going to complete Max's and Surge's trio. Honestly, it might happen in the next 2 updates. We'll also be getting a gift shop brawler that will complete Colette's and Edgar's trio, and I think it is an absolute no-brainer that we are going to be getting a space environment and 3 space-themed brawlers, probably at least one of them in the next update. Now, the investor video has several references to space in it, and Pam's junkyard already has a spaceship right there, and I would not be surprised at all if we saw a return of the Dog General that was a concept brawler back when Brawl Stars was a space game. There's also a pretty good chance we might see this space chicken that was referenced in the 8-bit minigame, which was actually playable last year. Now, I'm also expecting a dinosaur-themed environment with a new Jurassic trio for Brawl Stars. There were references to dinosaurs in the investor video, and we already have a dinosaur model in the game from the Super City Rampage game mode. Also, I think a Jurassic theme for Brawl Stars just makes so much sense because it's a theme park, and one of those themes obviously could be dinosaurs. Lastly, because we already have a set of superhero brawlers like Max and Surge, I'm fully expecting that we're going to be getting some sort of a super villain trio, and there's a good chance that it might happen this year. In fact, one of them, I know we keep on bringing this up, us YouTubers, we keep mentioning the Brawloween animation from 2019. This guy that I like to call Gil, I would not be surprised at all if he came, okay? Now, with these themes that I mentioned, that would be 11 brawlers in 2021, which is just as many brawlers as they released in 2020. And I feel pretty confident in these themes. Granted, there's a chance that Supercell might decide to do something completely different, but like, these are like no-brainers. Now I wanted to talk about the 3 issues that I think that Brawl Stars is going to try to address sometime in 2021. Make sure you guys stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to be doing some additional update predictions as well. Also use code Kairos in the Brawl Stars shop because Kairos, code Kairos in the Brawl Stars shop because that's why. Supercell develops games with a few core beliefs in mind. One of those core beliefs is creating games that people will play for years. Now, Supercell has 2 major focuses behind making games that people will play for years, and the first one is to make gameplay that is very fun, exciting, and replayable for a very long time. I think, honestly, for Brawl Stars being global for 2 years, Brawl Stars' gameplay is very fun and exciting and very replayable, but I do think that the game needs even more strategic depth for long-term players to maintain their interest for another year or longer than that. If you compare Brawl Stars to other similar top-down MOBAs like League of Legends or other popular even mobile MOBAs, each brawler has way fewer abilities to their kit than other games do. And don't get me wrong, this is actually a benefit to Brawl Stars because it's simple to pick up and play, which is why I don't think that new brawlers should actually have a ton of abilities right when you unlock them, but that I think that new abilities should be unlocked later on as you level up your character. This is actually the reason that I predicted third abilities or gadgets for every brawler last year. Now, I know that there are several brawlers that don't even have 2 gadgets yet, which is why I don't think that Supercell is going to address this until later this year, but I really do think that Brawl Stars would benefit from a little bit more depth in the core gameplay. What I'm hoping for is a way to further modify the abilities of our brawlers. My suggestion for this is something that I like to call mods. Think of mods as equipment that you put on your brawlers in order to change the way that they battle in the game. Unlike star powers or gadgets that are specific to the brawler that you're playing, you could move around mods to different brawlers to try and build them the way that you want to. Mods would have different rarities like the brawlers do and would drop from brawl boxes. Some of the more common mods would do things that are really simple, like increase base attack damage or increase base super damage of the brawler that it's equipped to. Then there could be other mods that would increase the maximum health of the brawler that you're playing. Other mods might increase reload speed, movement speed, or even projectile speed. And there could be mods that make your super charge a little bit more with every single hit, or even like a more rare mod that would slowly charge your super automatically, like Daryl's super, or even with movement like Max's star power does. Another rare mod might increase healing effectiveness for brawlers like Pam or Poco, or the duration of poison for brawlers like Crow or Edgar, or even a mod that gives you the ability to see slightly further in bushes. Now, once you start unlocking gadgets, there could also be mods that increase the effectiveness of gadgets, like increasing gadget damage, or possibly even giving your gadget one additional use. And then, of course, once you start unlocking star powers, there could be mods that do the same thing for those star powers. The idea behind mods is that there would be a lot more ways to change the way that you play certain brawlers so that they cater a little bit more to your play style, and also so that there's an entire other level of strategy to the game. Now, just like you level up brawlers to make them stronger, duplicate mods in brawl boxes would change to scrap metal that could then be used to strengthen the effectiveness of the mods that you currently have. As an example, maybe a regular attack damage mod would increase your base attack damage by 5% at level 1 to 10% at level 2, and maybe even a bonus 15% at level 3 where the mod is completely maxed out. Now, I don't think that mods should be available in Brawl Stars right from the start. I don't want new players to come into the game and be just totally confused by what's happening. After all, one thing I love about Brawl Stars is how simple it is for people to pick up and learn in comparison to other games that are kind of similar to Brawl Stars. So what I think should happen is that a brawler would unlock a space for mods once one of their brawlers reaches level 6. And at that point, that's when mods would start to be available in brawl boxes. Now, one key point would be that you could equip the same mod to multiple brawlers, because after all, you're only ever playing one brawler at a time. And if Supercell does add something like mods into Brawl Stars, I think they could start with something really simple, like 10 basic mods, and then they could release 2 to 3 mods after each update after that. Not only would this help the strategic depth of Brawl Stars reach an entirely other level, this would add a lot of hype with each and every single update, as there would be more and more ways for you to further tweak the way that you play with certain brawlers with every single new mod that Brawl Stars adds to the game. This is the kind of new content that would be fairly easy for Brawl Stars to put into the game that would just completely change the way that hardcore fans of the game would play forever. Obviously, just like with the release of star powers and gadgets, they would need to do some balancing after their first release, but I think that what they should do is they should make it so that one mod slot should be available on each brawler after you reach level 6, but eventually, I think it would be really awesome if they added a second slot at level 8 and a third slot at level 9 once the mods are actually fairly balanced. This is not an idea that I just randomly came up with, guys. I have been thinking about this a lot over the past year, and I think that this is a really solid next step for Brawl Stars when it comes to adding strategic depth into the game. I would personally like this way more than third star powers or third gadgets. I've even considered some crazy things like second supers for every brawler, but I think they should just release more brawlers instead of focusing on second supers. But you get the idea, guys. Mods is an idea that I would really like in the game, but I want to know what you guys think about it. Now let's talk about Supercell's second focus behind creating games that people will play for years, which leads me to the next issue that I think Brawl Stars will try to address in 2021. Like I said, the goal of Supercell is to create games people will play for years, and their second focus behind that is creating games that are very social. And I think this is one of the 3 major issues that Supercell will try to address this year. If you are a social person and you naturally seek out friends wherever you go, Brawl Stars is honestly a pretty awesome game. There are clubs you can join to go and chat with people. You can join Discord servers like mine, link in the description below. You can join Reddit, Twitter, whatever. There's so much community involvement when it comes to Brawl Stars. And if you have friends that actively play the game, Brawl Stars is amazing. But Brawl Stars does not do very much to encourage social interaction for players who do not naturally seek that social interaction. I think Supercell's goal for Brawl Stars should be to do something very similar to what they did with Clash of Clans when they added Clan Wars into the game. Not for like the Clan Wars aspect, but for the social reasons. As an example, probably the last 6 months of me playing Clash of Clans, I did not come back to the game for the gameplay. I felt like I had already mastered all the current strategies in the game, and I felt very satisfied with me putting the game away. But I came back to the game over and over and over again for those 6 months because I loved playing something that I loved with other people. Now, in contrast to that, for Brawl Stars, I'm currently in just an awesome club with very active players, people that care about the game, they're passionate about it, and I've opened up the club chat to read it or send a message like 3, maybe 4 times throughout all of 2020, because although I know that I would enjoy making more friends, I'm actually a little bit of an introvert, and I think that the game just doesn't do anything to encourage me to go and interact with other players. I play with randoms for the vast majority of my matches, and I know that a lot of you guys do that same thing, and then I use the look for a team feature for power play and 12-win challenges. Every now and then I'll reach out to like a friend of mine if I like really want to make sure I win a 12-win challenge, but you guys get the idea. I know that this is an issue for Brawl Stars, and I know that Brawl Stars has wanted to tackle this for a long time, and I honestly thought that they were going to address it last year. In fact, I feel like I recall Frank saying something about wanting to address social reasons in the game, but that was put on the side for some reason. My guess is that the map maker took more time to develop than they wanted it to, and that's why sometime early this year, either in the next update or an update or 2 after that, something very big is coming to clubs. I used to think that Club Wars was going to be like an obvious addition to Brawl Stars. After all, Clan Wars and Clash of Clans was the reason I got hooked on Supercell games, and every other Supercell game other than Brawl Stars has some sort of a system in their game that encourages their players to interact with each other. However, in 2020, Clash Royale released their Clan Wars 2.0 update. Even though I haven't played the game very much in the past couple of years, it seems like from like an outsider, it looks like Clan Wars 1 and Clan Wars 2 for Clash Royale was not very well received within the community. And as someone who played Clash Royale like every single day for a long time, it makes me sad to see the game struggle, because I think they tried to like force Clan Wars in a way into their game that just did not work for Clash Royale specifically. Clan Wars worked perfectly in Clash of Clans because it felt very natural and the game exploded in popularity because of it. Then they tried to force it into Clash Royale in a way that wasn't natural, and the game is in a lot worse of a situation because of it. I think that my biggest fear for adding Club Wars into Brawl Stars is that something similar like that might actually happen to what happened in Clash Royale. And honestly, I have tried thinking of some way to make Club Wars work for Brawl Stars in a way that is naturally exciting, is engaging for all types of players, and I cannot come up with a concept that does not have issues. I can't. I've thought so much about this. I cannot figure out a solution. If anyone can find a solid way to add Club Wars into Brawl Stars, it is definitely the Brawl Stars developer team. Because if anybody is thinking more about developing Brawl Stars than me, it's the developer team. And they have proven to be a very passionate and innovative team, and they've honestly exceeded my expectations over and over and over again. And I think that this year, they're gonna do something to make the game more social, and it might be Club Wars. If they do that, I think they'll do a great job. But if not, I think that we're going to get some sort of a big update this year that is going to add social improvements to the game, aside from Brawl Stars, or some way that is best suited for Brawl Stars. Now, the third issue that I see Brawl Stars needing to work on in 2021 is tied to another one of their core beliefs. In fact, it's the core belief that created the name Supercell. In other words, Supercell is founded on the principle of having small teams of people working on their games. And this makes it a lot easier for them to make decisions because there's less red tape, fewer people that have to agree before working on something. So many times I've brought them feedback and before an update gets released, and they just like apply it because it's only one person that has to read that message and put it into the game. So this is a really good thing for Brawl Stars, and I absolutely stand by Supercell's decision to create games like this. However, having fewer people on a team makes it a lot harder for them to release a lot of big content. This is why, even though I can't tell you how badly I wish Supercell would make an MMORPG, because I love MMORPGs and I think that Supercell would do such a good job with it, I don't think it's ever going to happen because games like that require large teams to produce. And let's face it, 2020 was a big year for Brawl Stars, and I think that the expectations for 2021 are really high because of that, right? And this is why I think that the third issue for Brawl Stars this year is reaching those really high expectations without the negative emotional or physical repercussions on the Brawl Stars team. I know what it's like to work 80-hour work weeks for months and months on end. I did it for the entire first year on my YouTube channel when Brawl Stars went global. Just in case you guys didn't know this, I got pretty burnt out. It's actually a really big reason why I released way fewer videos in 2020 and I took up other hobbies like rollerblading or playing Genshin Impact on the side of Brawl Stars. Obviously, I want our high expectations to be met. I want Brawl Stars to do just as well as they did last year, but this year as well, right? But my big hope is that they're able to do that while also taking care of themselves. I don't think that we have to really be worried. After all, Supercell has some really fantastic things in place to ensure a healthy work-life balance. But if the developers on Brawl Stars are watching this video right now, I just really hope that you guys aren't sacrificing your own personal lives for a game. Obviously it's your work and you love it and I love it and all of the people watching this video right now love it, but personal, physical, and emotional health are definitely way more important. Okay guys, now it's time for me to talk about some other update predictions and of course a few wish list items that I'd like to talk about. I think a pretty obvious prediction for this year is further improvements to the map maker, so it's no longer called a beta feature. They've got to make it so that we can create maps for all of the game modes, and they really need to make it easier to share maps with other people. I want someone to be able to go on Twitter, share something, me see it, and be like, this looks like a cool map. I want to play this right now. That needs to happen. Or they need to make a robust search feature so that you can actually find specific maps. Maybe you played a map that was like on the daily, the 24-hour, the map winner, and you want to save it because you want to play it with your friends later on, and you should be able to do something like that, right? Hopefully we can get access to some other special tiles like minecarts, and I hope they add other special tiles into the game as well. I've talked a lot about the map maker in the past, so I'm not going to talk about other features that I want in it now, but I do hope that we get the ability to adjust win conditions and other stuff so the community can make mini games. Based off of the fact that most of the daily winning maps are troll maps, I think it's pretty safe to say that making our own mini games would be very well received by the community, right? Now, another thing that I hope for in this year is at least one new game mode. I know what you guys are gonna say. I would honestly love it if the developers made some tweaks to Lone Star, since I really think that it had a lot of potential to be a fun game mode. Lone Star was basically solo bounty on a 10-man map, right? And if they made maps slightly smaller and created points of interest where stars would continuously spawn so that you always knew where to go to get more points and you always knew where to go in order to try and get some kills, I think the game could be a lot more fun and would have so much more potential. And while they're at it, I want duo Lone Star. That sounds like so much fun. And heck, might as well even do a 5v5 Lone Star, because 2021, please make it happen, Supercell, is the year that we will have a 5v5 game mode. Please, I hope. Just make it happen. You can do it. I also really hope that we get some more lore about Brawl Stars this year. I think it's going to happen. It's been a very long time since anything happened on the WKBRL stream, but it's still running, which tells me that eventually we're going to be getting some more changes on there. I hope, because all the lore building up to the release of the investor video was one of my favorite gamer moments of my entire life, and I would love something like that again. Also, if they didn't have plans to do that, they probably would have just killed the stream like several months ago, right? Because nothing's changed for a long time. Now, I've predicted and talked about a lot of stuff in this video, and I really want to know what you are hoping for most this year. Do you want some sort of club wars? Or maybe you want mods that you can apply to all of your brawlers in the game, like I mentioned earlier in the video. Let me know in the comment section below. Make sure you subscribe for more videos, and always use code Kairos in the Brawl Stars shop. Hope you enjoyed the video. For now, guys, this is KairosTime ticking by, and we will see you in Brawl Stars.